CountryBalla checking in here, y'all, and today's video is about punting, the fundamentals of punting in Madden, folks. And before I get into that, go ahead and like and subscribe, because I'm gonna show you guys how to make amazing punts like the one I'm about to carry off right here. See, folks, thing about punting is it's not always about the most powerful punter. Sometimes you need a guy that can, corner, coffin, punt the ball just like that. You see that right there? Let's go ahead and rewind the tape on that, because that right there, folks, was a turnover, because I was able to punt the ball into the receiver's feet, and that's a turnover. And that's what you want, folks, out of a punter, a guy that can get a corner coffin punt. It doesn't roll into the end zone, and you're able to secure a turnover. Folks, my method of getting a nice corner coffin punt, it always works, folks. All you really have to do, press down on the L3 button whenever you're trying to punt. That way your punts are going like a bit quicker towards its destination, because what you want to do, folks, you want to make it to where the receiver is not able to even get to the punt. That way you're going to limit his ability to get punt return yards, and that's very important, folks, because one thing is the fact that you want a punter to be able to pin the opposing team within the 15-20 yard line. If you can do that and the receiver doesn't get a chance to touch the ball like you're seeing in these clips, you've done your job as a punter. Making the offense start out within its own 15, on its own 10, on its own 5, it's very critical. Sometimes there'll be games in the NFL, folks, or on Madden, where the punter is the player of the game, because he's able to make it to where the offense is starting deep in its own territory, and that's extremely underrated in this game, folks. So like I said, folks, you want to be able to press down on the L3 button every time you're doing this. Most of the time you're going to want to press that. Now, that being said, if you're like deep in your doggone territory, you don't want to do that, because what's going to happen is you're going to need to get a lot of power in your kick to get the ball all the way to the opposing 20 yard line, or maybe 30, you know what I'm saying? So what you're going to want to do is get the doggone ball, press down that L3 button most of the time, like I'm doing right here. And another thing, here's the most important thing as well, sometimes you need to be able to have your controller vibrating. That's when you know you're getting towards the out of bounds part that you want to touch. You don't want the ball to be kicked inside the hash marks, you know what I'm saying? You want that ball to be like touching or hitting out of bounds right within a yard of the out of bounds line. Like I said, folks, the key to special teams, because special teams is 1/3 of the game, believe it or not, folks. It's equally important as offense and defense. If you're getting out there and you are letting your opponent run the doggone ball back when you punt it 20, 30, 40 yards, you're not going to win the game. You need to be able to secure 1/3 of the football game, and the ability to punt, and the ability to punt the doggone ball within the opponent's 15, 10, 5 yard line, extremely important, folks. I tell you one thing, I'm going to be covering how to kick field goals as well in a later video, so go ahead and like and subscribe to the page. Go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to teach you guys how to kick those field goals as well, and furthermore, I'm going to teach you guys how to read the defense, and I'm going to teach you guys how to do the read option, how to run the read option as well. All those components are very vital to your success in this video game. But let's get back to punting, folks. The thing about punting, you need to be able to have a feel for where the out of bounds line is based off of how the controller is vibrating. If it's vibrating extremely hard, then you're probably going too far. So you need to return back just a tad bit, like I'm doing right here. And what you also want to do is, a lot of times, if you're in the 45, 50 yard line on your own 45, you don't want to pump the ball till its fullest power. You don't want your meter hitting the green. You want it to be right before it hits the green mark. You want it to be like in that blue area, like I just did right there, you see. Because if you hit it to where it's hitting the green like at full power, a lot of times it's going to roll out of bounds, and that's not something you want. It's going to roll into the end zone for a touchback, and that's not something you want, folks, because it's going to go on the opponent's 25 yard line, and that's pretty average, or pretty, in my opinion, it's terrible. To be honest with you, you don't want that. You want to be inside the 20. You want to be inside the 10. You want to be inside the 5. That's going to make the opposing quarterback be under a lot of pressure when it's on offense, folks, and that's just something you really want. Now, sometimes you're not going to be able to press down on your L3 stick. Like I said, sometimes you're going to have to punt it normally with a backspin because, you know, sometimes you have win situations or things like that to where you can't really press down the L3 stick, but you just need to be able to, like I said, you need to be able to, you know, move your L3 stick towards the out of bounds that you feel is most desirable. And what you want to do is, like I said, if it starts vibrating extremely hard, you've gone too far. So move the L3 stick. If you're punting it to the right, you're going to move it. If it's vibrating too hard, move the L3 stick a little bit to the left. That way it stops vibrating as hard as it was. And then that's when you know you kind of hit that sweet spot. And that's exactly what you want to do, folks. Hit the sweet spot, because that's what's going to get you a W in this game, folks. Here's another clip showing you how to hit that sweet spot whenever you're not pressing down that L3 stick. You just take your time. You want to take your time. You want to usually try to use the camera where you can see the whole field. That way you can see if the opposing character, like if you're playing another user, if he's doing something crazy, moving around crazy. But what you want to do is, like I said, just keep moving that L3 stick towards out of bounds. You're going to be able to get punts just like that, because what you want, folks, you want the ball to be hitting within 1 yard of, like, inside the out of bounds or outside of it. You don't want it to be 5 yards outside the out of bounds line, because then you could have got more yards on your punt, you know. And you know, this game is a game of inches, so every inch is important, you know. So that's exactly what you want to do, folks. So like I said, folks, if you like what you see, if you learn something here, you know, go ahead and subscribe to the page. I got way more stuff coming, folks. I'm not, you know, Mr. Joe football here, but I played a little bit, so I know a little thing or two about, you know, how to read defense, how to run an option, you know, trying to figure out how to punt this ball, which, I mean, that doesn't, you know, playing football for real doesn't really help you out with that on this game. But, you know, with practice, a little bit of practice on Madden, you'll be able to punt like this in no time, folks. You'll be able to have it to where the opposing punt returner is unable to field the ball. And you know, I bet guys like coaches and, you know, players and punters that used to, you know, punt against Devin Hester, I bet they wish they did stuff like this, because that guy used to be able to return the ball like crazy. You talking about guys like Dion and Dante Hall. You know, this would nullify all of them. I don't care how many Maddens you go back. I don't care if you're playing Madden 10, Madden 12, you know, Madden, you know, 04. You're going to be able to nullify the opposing punt returner with doing this technique right here, folks. Usually it works. And another thing, like I said, go ahead and subscribe to the page, because next video is how to kick field goals, never miss the field goal again. You know, it's going to be some of the same techniques, some of the same ideas, same concepts behind how to make that work, but you're only going to get that if you subscribe, folks. Also, another thing I want to say, if you subscribe to the page, if you're one of my first 100 subscribers, you're going to be entered into the chance to win a free PS4 game. When I hit the 100 mark on subscribers, I'm going to be giving away that game. And then guess what? When I get to the 200 mark, I'm going to do it again. The 300 mark, I'm going to do it again. 500, 800, 1,000. We're going to keep going, folks. We're going to keep this page going, because I want to be able to show you guys different things with Madden, 2K, Call of Duty. You name it, I got it. I don't care if it's The Sims. I don't care if it's Crash Bandicoot. I'm here to help, folks. I'm also going to be providing a lot of gameplay vids, a lot of glitch vids, a lot of doggone anything you can name, I'm going to provide it, you know. So go ahead and like and subscribe to the page, folks. You know, sometimes the punt returner, he's going to be able to get a hand on the ball when you're doing this, but usually it's really unlikely, you know. And if the opposing user moves the punt returner towards one side, kick it to the other side. Now it's extremely rare that you're going to ever have to punt in this situation on the opposing opponent's 30-yard line. But if you're really bad at kicking field goals, it applies to this concept of pressing down L3 and using the backspin applies as well. But like I said, go ahead and like and subscribe to the page. I'm out, y'all. Country baller. Peace.